What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the BMW M8 Performance Edition. This was the car that was out in last week's Summit. I would honestly say this is probably one of the coolest looking Summit vehicles we've seen in a pretty long time. The reason why I say that is the body kit on this car honestly looks absolutely insane. But not only that though, guys, I also want to show something else. So obviously with this vehicle, you probably did notice it's going to have a really nice body kit, plus those rims on it and that wing on the back. And the first thing I thought about is, can you make the regular M8 look like this? And well, it turns out, guys, you cannot make that car look anything like this one at all. So if you guys did get this vehicle, and the main reason why I say that is I know that Summit was honestly pretty intense. Apparently there's like 100,000 people going after this vehicle, so I can definitely understand why though, because the M8 is pretty awesome. I'm a pretty big fan of this car in real life as well. I would say this is probably one of my favorite BMWs. I really do like the style of this thing. But let's move over right now to the regular M8. Now, one thing I have been doing recently, since someone did bring this up, is I have been looking at some of the cars in the game now, mainly the cars that have been in the summits, and they have like regular car counterparts, I guess, in the game already. So one of the things I did want to look at is, do these cars actually look unique when you get them? And can you make the regular cars look like the ones in the summit? So the first thing I noticed with this car, guys, you can't actually do anything with the front end of this vehicle and or the hood to really match that one either. Not only that though, the regular M8 doesn't have a body kit at all for it, so the one that was in the Summit is going to be insanely unique in that aspect. And not only that, I also did notice the rims for that car are not going to be available on this one either, which is pretty insane as well. So I would definitely say that's going to make the car very unique in many ways. And one thing I also wanted to show is going to be the wings here. So you guys will see the wings on this car right here, just like that. That is going to be the biggest one. And to be honest, I would say that thing is really ugly on the back of this car. But we look at that one there, which if I did probably have this car, I would probably go with something like that on there. But honestly, having something like that on the back of the car does look kind of ugly. And then moving back over to the Performance Edition here. So obviously with many of the Summit vehicles, you can't really change anything on this. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't change anything on this car anyway. So as I did mention before, guys, you have noticed this car is going to look a lot different. I would actually say this is one of the coolest looking cars in the game, as I did mention before. Like the overall design of it, also the fitment of the car looks really good as well. So that wing on the back is going to be just for this vehicle, and I think that looks really good on this car. It's not too big, and it doesn't hang off the back kind of oddly as well. One thing I also looked at really fast is going to be the rims. Like, my goodness, look how nice those rims look on here. I would love to have those rims for the other M8 as well. But then again, this is going to be like a special car for that matter. So this thing is pretty awesome. I will also take a look at the interior as well. But overall though, guys, if you did get this vehicle, I would definitely be pretty excited, because you're not going to see anything like this anywhere in the game, because the regular M8 isn't going to look anything close to this. And now moving over to an outside look of the M8 Performance Edition. So as you guys will see in the light, this car is definitely going to be insanely detailed as well. I really do like the red accents going around the car, plus the carbon fiber going around it as well on the bottom. I really do think this car is awesome. Like, I have to keep saying that, because my goodness, we can all agree some of the Summit vehicles have definitely made some people go, what in the world is that? But this M8 Performance Edition, I would say, is going to be one of the coolest cars we have seen in a while. Let's take a listen to that engine. I guess you really can never get over the sound of a V8. Like, I love the way these cars actually rumble. I also did see the M8's going to be a 4.4 liter V8, so this car's definitely going to sound pretty awesome. I really do feel like you can never get over the sound of a V8. Like, my goodness, I love the way they sound. And this is a 4.4 liter, so obviously it's going to have that nice, like, deep rumble to it. But my goodness, guys, the M8 is going to be an awesome car. I really do feel like Ubisoft killed the design of this thing. Not only that though, you guys will also find the wing on the back to be carbon fiber as well. Plus I also noticed the mirrors on the front to be carbon, so my goodness, the detail is definitely going to be all there. But let's jump into the interior, which to be honest, even if it was plain, I'm not going to be really too upset about it. So here we are with the interior. I do think there's a good amount of detail in here, so you can pretty much see the buttons for the most part. Like you're not going to see like blurry pieces or stuff like that. So at least it does have detail to it. Obviously the screen's going to have like the M series thing there, which I'm not really shocked about. Some of the screens in the game actually have nothing on them, so at least it is showing something. Then we will have that crazy looking dash as well. So we have the RPM reader and the gear indicator on the right side. Then on the left we have the digital dash with like your speed, which I also believe that's going to be in kilometers as well. But overall I would say the interior of this car is going to look pretty awesome. But now let's go see what the top speed test of the M8 Performance is actually going to be. So I did end up testing this car out in one race earlier to see what it can do, which I will probably end up doing the exact same race again when I actually record like the review part of the video. But guys, one thing I did notice right away though is this car is going to be insanely fast. The first thing I noticed is how big that 8th gear is going to be on it, which by the way, if you guys are running manual, be prepared to shift all the time, similar to like the Stingray and or the C8, whatever you want to call that vehicle. But that thing's also going to be an 8 speed as well, so I have been finding myself shifting on that car pretty often. It's not really an issue. It might take some time to get used to it because you can find yourself in the weird gears and or in the wrong gears for that matter as well, trying to get out of corners and or coming out of them correctly. But let's see what the M8 is going to do right now. So let's hit this nitrous. So the first thing you guys will probably notice is there's going to be a lot of room in the RPMs there when you guys are in 8th gear. So let's hit the nitro chemist. Look at that, guys. 275, 276 miles an hour. I actually think the car could probably do like 277, but you're probably going to go through a lot of nitrous trying to do that. So I'm sure that might seem pretty familiar to many players because one car also came out in this update as well that can also do the same thing. That's going to be the VR4 No Rules Edition. That car also came out, which was part of the Into the Storm update. All you guys will have to do to get that car unlocked, if you were wondering, is basically complete all 5 of the events there. Then you will get the car rewarded instantly, which is pretty dope because that thing is insanely fast. It does around 278 miles an hour. And it turns out, guys, we're going to have a Summit car that did come out that's going to basically have the exact same top speed, making these the 2 fastest street cars in the entire game. So now jumping right into the street race test with the M8 Performance Edition. So a few things I did want to go over with this vehicle. I would say the first thing many people are probably going to notice with the M8 is going to be its top speed, which I really can't blame you on that. I mean, the top speed on this thing is honestly pretty insane. It's going to basically be around the same as the No Rules Edition, which I'm honestly not really shocked about, mainly because I kind of thought they were going to make this car kind of quick. I was thinking that back in the day when I did see this Summit, and well guys, it turns out they did actually make this car really fast as well. Now, a few things I did want to go over though, I'm sure some players are probably going to be like, or maybe it might make like the No Rules Edition overpowered as well, but to be honest, I feel like this car is going to be nerfed in one way, and what I have been noticing that way is going to be is the way it can actually get up to its top speed. So if you guys have driven this vehicle, if you do not have Nitro Chemist, you will most likely not be able to hit 270 miles an hour. I mean, even with Nitro Chemist, I was finding this vehicle to be kind of difficult to hit that top speed as well, so do keep that in mind. But I feel like that might be a way they probably balance the car out, so you're probably going to need to be on like a big straightaway. But this can also raise a concern of the fact of, well, if you do actually have people with you, you could most likely slipstream them in the race if you wanted to. And in some of the summits with like bigger races like this one, for example, you could most likely slipstream like 2 or 3 people with the No Rules Edition or this car, and probably go insanely high speeds as well, so do keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to be like a negative thing, it's more the fact of like, is this car going to be overpowered? But one thing I really have noticed though is how long it takes to get up to 270. Like for example, right now guys, I hit 260 there, and to do that, I went through almost all of my nitrous to do so, so I don't think the car is going to be overpowered. And if in the future somehow we can use something like a street car in a hypercar race, I would say this thing's probably going to be insanely fun. But at the moment, the M8 Performance Edition from the recent Summit and the No Rules Edition are going to be the fastest street cars in the game, at least when it comes to top speed. What's also funny though is I don't think that's going to disrupt the current meta, I guess so to speak, in the game, because that Countach 5000, which I would say from a lot of testing I have done, handling is definitely going to be insanely important, so maybe having that insanely high top speed might not be the biggest advantage you can possibly have on a vehicle. I guess another way to look at this is like the hypercar category, for example, as well. Like on these shorter races, the Super Sport 300 Plus might not be the greatest vehicle to use, even though it's going to have that insanely high top speed. But anyway guys, let me know your thoughts on the M8 Performance Edition in the comments below, and here are the settings I'm currently running on this vehicle.